Maria was on top of the world. Graduation was just around the corner, and she had worked harder than anyone to earn the title of valedictorian. Her family, who had sacrificed everything to bring her from Colombia for a better education, beamed with pride. Maria imagined standing at the podium, her carefully crafted speech ready to inspire her classmates. She pictured her parents in the audience, their eyes shining with tears of joy. College applications were already submitted, acceptances trickling in, and a bright future stretched before her. Little did she know, this perfect picture was about to be shattered. A shadow was looming, one that threatened to steal her dreams and tear her away from everything she had worked so hard to achieve. That shadow was her immigration status. But Maria wasn't just lucky, she was driven. She spent countless nights studying, poring over textbooks, and seeking extra help from teachers. She excelled in every subject, from math and science to literature and history. Her teachers described her as a once-in-a-generation student, someone with both exceptional intelligence and an unwavering work ethic. She wasn't just memorizing facts. She was truly learning and understanding the material. Maria volunteered at the local library, tutoring younger students in reading and math. She was a role model, a leader, and a shining example of what hard work and dedication could achieve. Maria's student visa was initially obtained without any issues when she first came to the United States. Her parents had consulted with an immigration lawyer, ensuring all the paperwork was in order. Each year, the school diligently handled the renewal process, understanding the importance of maintaining her legal status. This year, as in previous years, the school principal's office submitted the extension request well in advance of the expiration date. They followed all the necessary procedures, dotted every I, and crossed every T. They even received confirmation that the paperwork had been received. Everyone believed Maria's visa extension was a mere formality, a simple administrative task. They were wrong. The day started like any other. Maria woke up with a mix of excitement and nerves. During her history class, 2 ICE officers entered the room. They called Maria's name. A wave of confusion washed over her. The officers asked her to step outside. Her classmates watched in stunned silence as Maria, looking bewildered, followed them out the door. No one understood what was happening. This was a nightmare unfolding in broad daylight, a scene ripped from a movie, not reality. It was the beginning of Maria's world turning upside down. Maria's heart pounded in her chest. She was led to an unmarked car, her hands trembling. The officers were polite but firm, explaining that her student visa had expired. Maria was confused and scared. She knew her school had filed for an extension. Tears welled up in her eyes as she tried to explain the situation, but the officers remained impassive. She was taken to a detention center, a cold and unfamiliar place filled with uncertainty. The reality of her situation began to sink in. She was alone, facing a system she didn't understand, her dreams hanging precariously in the balance. Her initial confusion quickly turned into fear. News of Maria's detention reached her parents like a thunderclap. Panic seized them. They rushed to the school, demanding answers. The principal, equally bewildered, showed them the confirmation receipt for the visa extension. It was a bureaucratic nightmare. The school immediately contacted their lawyers, desperately trying to rectify the situation. Maria's parents felt helpless, their worst fears realized. They couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, consumed by worry for their daughter. They visited her at the detention center, separated by a thick glass wall, their voices strained with emotion. Maria tried to reassure them, but her own fear was palpable. The weight of their sacrifices, their dreams for her future, pressed down on them all. The official ICE statement was brief and impersonal. They stated that Maria's student visa had expired, and she was therefore in violation of immigration law. They made no mention of the extension paperwork filed by the school. It was as if the school's efforts had vanished into thin air. The paperwork, the confirmation receipt, seemed to hold no weight against the cold, hard reality of her expired visa, according to their records. This disconnect between the school's actions and ICE's knowledge fueled the growing sense of injustice and outrage. It highlighted a flaw in the system, a breakdown in communication that could have devastating consequences. Maria's classmates were in shock. Disbelief quickly morphed into anger. They couldn't believe that someone as bright and deserving as Maria could be treated this way. They knew Maria. They had seen her dedication firsthand. They knew she was an integral part of their class, their school, their community. The idea of her being deported, of her dreams being snatched away, was simply unacceptable. The injustice of it all sparked a fire in their hearts. They whispered amongst themselves, a collective sense of outrage building. They knew they had to do something, anything, to help Maria. The silence had to be broken. Social media buzzed with activity. A group of Maria's closest friends spearheaded the effort, creating a Facebook event and using the hashtag #FreeMaria. They reached out to other students, explaining the situation and urging them to participate in a school-wide walkout. The idea spread like wildfire. Students stayed up late into the night, creating signs with slogans like "Justice for Maria," "Let her graduate," and "Education, not deportation." They organized meeting points, coordinated communication, and ensured that the protest would be peaceful and impactful. The walkout was scheduled for the following day, a powerful demonstration of solidarity and a clear message to IC. Maria was not alone. The next morning, a sea of students poured out of the school building. Hundreds, maybe even close to 1,000, walked out, chanting "Free Maria" and "Let Maria graduate." Signs bobbed above the crowd, a colorful display of support. Some students carried Colombian flags, a symbol of Maria's heritage and their solidarity with her. The air crackled with energy and determination. The students marched peacefully towards the local ICE office, their voices growing louder with each step. They were a united front, a powerful force demanding justice for their friend. The walkout was more than just a protest. It was a testament to Maria's impact on their lives. The local news cameras captured the scene, broadcasting the walkout live. Reporters interviewed students, teachers, and Maria's distraught parents. The story quickly became the lead item on the evening news. The coverage highlighted the absurdity of detaining a valedictorian just days before graduation, especially when the school had proof of the visa extension request. The news reports emphasized Maria's academic achievements, her community involvement, and her bright future. They painted a picture of a young woman who had done everything right, only to be caught in the crosshairs of a broken system. The local news framed Maria's detention as a clear injustice, sparking outrage and calls for her immediate release. Maria's story quickly transcended local boundaries. National news outlets picked up the story, drawn to the compelling narrative of a brilliant student facing deportation due to a bureaucratic error. Major newspapers, television networks, and online news platforms feature Maria's plight. The hashtag #FreeMaria trended nationwide. Celebrities and politicians weighed in, expressing their support and condemning the injustice. Maria's face was suddenly everywhere, a symbol of the human cost of a complex and often unforgiving immigration system. Her story resonated with people across the country, sparking a national conversation about immigration reform and the treatment of young immigrants. Maria's case became a potent symbol of the bureaucratic inefficiencies and the human impact of the immigration system. Her story highlighted how easily a simple administrative error could derail someone's life, especially for those who are already vulnerable. Pundits and activists pointed to Maria's case as an example of how the system often fails to recognize the contributions of immigrants and the potential they bring to the country. Her situation exposed the rigid and unforgiving nature of immigration laws, where even minor infractions or oversights can lead to devastating consequences. Maria became the face of countless other students and families facing similar challenges, a rallying cry for change. "Maria is like a sister to me," said one of her classmates, tears streaming down her face. "She's the smartest and kindest person I know. This isn't fair." Maria's history teacher described her as an exceptional student, a true scholar with a bright future. Losing her would be a tragedy. Her parents, in a tearful interview, spoke of their sacrifices and their unwavering belief in Maria's potential. "We came to this country for her future," her mother said, her voice breaking. "She has worked so hard. Please let her graduate." These voices amplified the human dimension of Maria's story, making the injustice even more palpable. A team of immigration lawyers worked tirelessly, pro bono, to secure Maria's release. They filed an emergency motion, arguing that her detention was unlawful due to the pending visa extension. They presented the confirmation receipt and argued that ICE had failed to properly consider the evidence. The lawyers also worked to expedite the visa extension process, hoping to resolve the bureaucratic issue and clear Maria's name. They navigated a complex legal system, facing numerous obstacles and delays. Every hour felt critical, as Maria's future hung in the balance. The legal battle was a race against time, a desperate attempt to right a wrong. Outside the detention center, a constant vigil formed. Community members, activists, and even strangers who were moved by Maria's story gathered to show their support. They held signs, chanted slogans, and offered comfort to Maria's family. The rallies grew larger each day, attracting more media attention and putting further pressure on ICE. Local churches organized prayer vigils, and community organizations provided food and water to the protesters. The outpouring of support was a testament to the power of collective action and the unwavering belief in justice. It was a community standing together, demanding that Maria be freed. The detention took a heavy toll. Maria suffered from anxiety and insomnia, haunted by the uncertainty of her future. She missed her friends, her teachers, and the familiar routine of school. The sterile environment of the detention center felt isolating and dehumanizing. Her parents, already burdened by financial struggles, faced mounting legal fees and sleepless nights. The constant worry and fear eroded their health and well-being. The joy they once felt for Maria's accomplishments was replaced by a gnawing anxiety. Even small things, like planning for graduation or college, became painful reminders of what was at stake. The entire family felt trapped in a nightmare. Deportation would be devastating. Maria would be forced to return to Colombia, leaving behind her family, friends, and all the opportunities she had worked so hard to achieve. Her education would be disrupted, and her dreams of attending college in the United States would be shattered. She would face an uncertain future in a country she barely remembered, separated from the support system she relied on. The possibility of never seeing her parents again loomed large, a constant source of anguish. Deportation wouldn't just be a bureaucratic decision. It would be a life-altering event with profound and lasting consequences. It would be tearing her away from her home. The legal proceedings dragged on, each day filled with anxiety and uncertainty. The lawyers filed appeals, presented new evidence, and fought tirelessly to challenge ICE's decision. However, the outcome remained uncertain. Maria's fate rested in the hands of judges and bureaucrats, their decisions influenced by complex laws and political pressures. The clock was ticking down to graduation, and the possibility of Maria missing this milestone loomed large. Every phone call, every email brought a mix of hope and dread. The family lived in a state of constant suspense, unsure if their next conversation would bring good news or devastating news. The call came late in the evening. Maria's lawyers delivered the news. ICE had agreed to release her, acknowledging the error in her visa paperwork. A wave of relief washed over Maria and her family. Tears of joy flowed freely. News of her release spread like wildfire, igniting celebrations both inside and outside the detention center. Students cheered, car horns honked, and the crowd erupted in applause. Maria emerged from the detention center, blinking in the bright lights, and embraced her parents in a tearful reunion. The community's unwavering support had finally paid off. Justice, it seemed, had prevailed. Maria was able to graduate, delivering a powerful and emotional valedictorian speech that celebrated resilience and the importance of community. Her college plans were back on track, although she had to defer her enrollment by a semester. The experience left a lasting impact on her, shaping her perspective and fueling her passion for social justice. Maria decided to study law, determined to fight for the rights of immigrants and other marginalized groups. While the scars of her detention remained, she emerged stronger and more determined than ever. Her future, once clouded by uncertainty, now shone with purpose. Maria's case served as a catalyst for discussions about immigration reform, particularly concerning student visas. Lawmakers and advocacy groups called for greater transparency and accountability within ICE, demanding better communication and a more humane approach to immigration enforcement. The case also highlighted the need for a more streamlined and efficient visa extension process, reducing the risk of bureaucratic errors and unnecessary detentions. Some politicians even proposed legislation to protect high-achieving students like Maria from deportation, recognizing their potential contributions to society. Her story forced a critical examination of the system, prompting calls for reforms that would prevent similar injustices from happening in the future. Inspired by Maria's courage and the community's unwavering support, other students and families facing similar immigration challenges began to share their stories. They organized support groups, lobbied lawmakers, and launched awareness campaigns to shed light on the human cost of the immigration system. Maria's story empowered them to overcome their fear and speak out against injustice. Her example demonstrated that even a single voice, when amplified by collective action, could make a difference. Maria became a symbol of hope for countless others, a reminder that they were not alone in their fight for a fair and just immigration system. Maria's story underscores the crucial role of empathy and understanding in immigration debates. Immigration is not just about laws and policies. It's about real people with hopes, dreams, and families. By recognizing the human dimension of immigration, we can move beyond divisive rhetoric and work toward solutions that are both just and compassionate. Maria's case reminds us that every individual deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their immigration status. It is through empathy and understanding that we can build a more inclusive and welcoming society for all. Following Maria's case, the school district implemented a new system for tracking student visa extensions, ensuring multiple checks and balances to prevent similar errors. ICE also revised its procedures for handling student visa cases, requiring officers to verify extension paperwork before initiating detention proceedings. While comprehensive immigration reform remained elusive, Maria's case prompted incremental changes that aimed to protect other students from facing similar injustices. These changes, though small, represented a step in the right direction, a tangible outcome of Maria's struggle and the community's unwavering advocacy. They served as a reminder that even in the face of systemic challenges, positive change is possible. Maria's dream is to become an immigration lawyer, fighting for those who cannot fight for themselves. She envisions a world where the immigration system is fair, just, and humane, where everyone is treated with dignity and respect. She wants to use her own experiences to make a difference, to advocate for policies that protect vulnerable populations and ensure that everyone has the opportunity to pursue their dreams. Despite the challenges she has faced, Maria remains optimistic and determined. Her long-term goal is to create a more just and equitable society, one where no one has to endure the fear and uncertainty she experienced. Her journey is far from over, but her spirit remains unbroken.